Hey everyone, here we are, the Gratitude Podcast Show once again, and I am so honored to have one of my guests on our Croatia cruise from last summer through the Greek islands. In fact, she was our photographer, Dr. Sylvia Dr. Fernandez, and she's got an incredible bio that she sent me. I think it would probably take the whole show for me to read it, so I'm going to summarize some of it, if that's okay with Sylvia. She had an interesting childhood. She learned very early on that she wanted to help people. And she thought, what could I do to help people? And she said, maybe I could be a stewardess. Maybe I could be a nun, or maybe I could become a teacher. And along the way, she learned that kind of the key to life was just having fun and make it life easy. And that kind of really helped in her evolution to something that I think is really kind of cool, to her moniker of Dr. Soul. We're going to talk about it. She's going to talk about how that happened. But she became a psychologist. And after 2 Ph.Ds in 2009, she figured out that life and business coaching was a better tool to help others than being a nun, than being a school teacher, or than whatever else she thought of. And that's how Dr. Soul became. But she did start out first as a teacher and a graduate professor of psychology for 9 years. And then she focused on helping a diverse group of people working in psychiatric wards, private practice, juvenile detention centers, and the federal court in Puerto Rico. That's where she's coming from today. As well as she's been on TV and radio. She's like a celebrity here with us today, so it's pretty cool. She's extremely intuitive and loves to offer her soul alignment, meaning, and contagious happiness. She's one of the happiest people I know, to others along her travels. And then in 2009, she had this like aha moment where she figured out that it wasn't really a balanced formula to life, but it was really about leading people and leading herself to feel great about oneself. And that led to her exploration of self-love. And her motto is, I inspire to inspire. That is so cool.
I aspire to inspire.
Oh, did I say it the other way? Yes, that's what I meant. It's sort of like living rad and loving contagiously. And with that, Dr. Sylvia Fernandez, it is so beautiful and such an honor to have you here on the Gratitude Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Robert. It's my honor to be here. Thank you for having me. I really wanted to be here. So again, manifestations coming all the way. But before we start, I have to say something that I don't know, I think you realize, but I have an addiction. And I wanted to get it out there in front of people. And it's the addiction of being positive.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. We actually had to rent a car from, what was that city? Bodrum, Turkey, and drive to Cappadocia, like a 9-10 hour drive together because we didn't have plane flights and you couldn't get one. And along the way, I really learned about that addiction that Sylvia really does. And I think of myself as a pretty positive guy. And she would catch me. She would catch me along the way and point it out. And I go, I didn't realize I do that too. Because I'm human, you're human, Sylvia's human, we're all human. And sometimes we're not perfect. Yeah. Sometimes we're not perfect.
I think we're all perfect in our imperfections, right?
That could be. But Sylvia, I want to first kind of go back to your childhood, because one of the things I really like to do on this show is to help people understand by giving examples. And first of all, bringing incredible people on this show that have done amazing things in life and have them sort of tell us how their mind developed, how their brain developed. What did it take? Maybe some people in our audience aren't at your level, so that maybe there'll be some clues in there that can help them figure out what it is that they ought to do. Assuming they're on a growth journey, what's the next step, or what is a step along the way? Because everyone's steps are different. So as you were going through childhood and you had these ahas left and right, what can you tell about, like, why did they happen? How did they happen? As you think back, like give some clues as to how your mind developed to have this addiction in positivity.
Yeah. Well, I think it all started in my childhood, as you say. because my legs were crooked. I had to wear leg braces. I had really thick eyeglasses. My parents thought I was clumsy because I was always falling, and it's because I needed glasses and leg braces. So I used those. I was also a chubby kid, as I was before high school. I was chubby, and I think all those three things gave me more attention. They felt I needed more attention than my other two sisters. So I think in that way I got a little extra love. Even though my parents are the best and they were loving to the three of us, I still feel that I got the best of them because the extra attention that I got. My father passed away when I was 11, and I don't remember this, but my mother says even when he was sick, I was caring for him. I don't remember this, but I do always remember that I wanted people to be happy. I don't know where I got it. My mom, one thing I can tell you, my mom kissed me good morning until I was 26 when I left her home. So I think that's one thing that can help. If your parents are loving, that's very helpful. If they weren't loving, because that's something that has happened to many people, unfortunately, then start loving yourself. Start finding ways to talk good to yourself about yourself. I have realized that self-esteem is the most important thing in life, and it's what helps you to be positive. The intuition part, I think somehow I had it since I was little, Robert. I knew what was going to happen in movies. I still do. I know what they're going to say sometimes. And people are like, wow, you saw this movie already, Sylvia? And I didn't see it. I just somehow information gets to me about people, about life.
So let's talk a little bit about self-love, because I think that's very popular now that everyone's talking about. It just starts with self-love. And someone was asking me about that the other day, like, how do you start self-love if you didn't grow up with a mother that kissed you every day until you were 26 years old? But because I don't know that, and I know anyone that's been that way.
I have been so fortunate. Yes. So for those people that haven't had that, if you're a parent, start with your children. That's the first thing. If you're a parent, start being kind and loving and respectful towards your children. Those jokes that they're like, oh, I got you, making jokes to the children, being sarcastic or ironic to your children, I don't think that helps your child or your relationship with your child. So if you do have children, treat them well, with respect, with love, not with irony or sarcasm, or, don't try to trick them at all. So I think that will help, because it already starts a connection with somebody else in a good way. So if you're a parent, you can start that way. If you're a single person or you don't have any children, start writing down. Well, you can start reading. I got one of my books. I wanted to do an exercise with you, Robert. Can you give me, because this wraps all together. Can you give me a number between 7 and 144?
Oh, you want to do it right now?
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy.
Oh, okay. It's easy. Yeah. A number between 7 and 144?
Yes.
7.
7. Okay. And now give me, 7 only has 1. So the other thing to stay positive and to start reconnecting with yourself is reading stuff that helps you. This is a 365 positive book, my first book. Okay. And if you start reading positive things in your life, it can be the Bible, it can be somebody's book, it can be your own doing. You can start writing something positive every day, just one sentence. But here, give me another number between 1 and 3.
1 and 3? How about 2?
2. Each person is unique in their own way of finding their maximum expression. So this is the second thought of the book, of the page 7. So a lot of people have told me how this book, I wrote it in 2010, how this book has helped them stay positive in their lives. So even if you didn't have a good childhood, find something to read that will help you stay optimistic, stay positive. Just yesterday, I met this woman that has been reading this book for, 10 years or something. She wrote to me on Facebook, I want to meet with you. You have helped me so much in my life. And it was amazing, Robert, when you hear somebody that just with little sentences like that has helped them. So if she did it, anybody can do it.
Okay,
Anybody
so
can bring themselves up by
okay,
reading,
so
for example.
reading. So give us that book title again, because it's your book from
Uh,
2010.
this one is in Spanish. I don't have the English version, but
There is an English version.
it's an English version in Amazon. So you can get it in
Okay,
Amazon under
what's it called?
365 Positive Thoughts.
Okay,
So it's
all
one
right,
for each day.
beautiful.
And you will see that there is a line to write the date, because I don't know if you've had one of those positive thoughts book that they have, okay, you have to read this one this day, this one that day. And I didn't like that because I wanted to be free to read whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. So there's a
Okay,
space, so you write down the date.
where did you come up with those 365 plus thoughts?
That's another interesting story. I was a university professor, and I remember as I started, and I was 31 or 32 years old, and I told myself, I don't want to be a dinosaur professor, because there were professors there when I got in to be a professor that taught me. And they had been in there for like 30, 40 years at the university. And I thought, I don't want to be one of them. I want to like stay a little bit and then go and move on. 9 years went by. Something not so nice happened at work and I had to quit. So I quit and I said, well, I guess this is what I wanted. It didn't happen the way I wanted, but it happened. And then I was like, what do I do now? And my boyfriend at the time said, why don't you write that book that you've always been talking about? So I had 6 months that they were paying for me because it was an unfortunate situation. But during those 6 months, I wrote that book. And I just went.
But where did the thoughts come from? Where did the thoughts come from?
Different experiences. Some of them you will see they just came out. Inspiration, oblivion. Don't ask me because I cannot give you an answer. But many of them have a name after them. For example, this one says, accept others as they are and support them in their positive changes because it's their time and their way. Fabio. So it has a name. This guy, Fabio, was a friend of mine. He took International Coaching Federation certification with me. And he was always talking about how everybody's got their own timing and support them in their timing. So many of them do have a name. In the English version, you will not see the name. But I was inspired, or they inspired me to write that thought. Mm-hmm. So some people did inspire me. Maybe, I don't know, out of the 365, maybe 80 or 75 were inspired by someone. And I gave them credit writing their name.
Okay,
in there.
Good.
But the English version doesn't have them.
Okay. As you were talking, I want to continue to talk about the self-love concept. But one of the things, so my children are adults, and I somehow was inspired to start writing a letter to my son every day. About 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and I write him a letter, handwritten letter, and mail it to him every day. Because when I think back on my growing up when the kids were small, I was very loving, I think, as much as I could, but I was focused on work and sports and things like that. And I was the kids coach, and I was, I coached them in AYSO or whatever, but I'm not sure I did the dad thing exactly right. And so now, and the reason I say this is because it's never too late. Yes. So maybe you weren't there. You weren't kissing your daughter every day until 26, but you could start writing a letter or do something else. Just become creative. So if you just open your mind, and that's why I want to share this, I want to get more into what else can you do, Sylvia, for our audience to do self-love kinds of things? Because I'm actually really focused on this right now. And I want to know from you.
Robert, I want to, first of all, congratulate you. That is an excellent idea. And it's a very loving way to show your son how you're always thinking about him. And many parents, I'm not a mother, so I don't know how the experience goes, but I know how it goes for many people that I've helped. And I've helped people regain that connection with their adult children, actually. So this is very good. That's one thing that you can do. And some parents like to call their adult children every day. I don't recommend calling them every day. Writing is different because he can take the time to read it whenever he has the time. But a phone call, I don't think it's too appropriate. to call every day if you want to make connection again with them. But you could send them a text message or a Facebook message, or, in using the social media in a good way. And also, one thing that I recommend to parents is stop giving them advice. Stop giving your children advice. Why? Because most of the advice that I've known parents to give their children is unwanted advice or unasked for. Many times, as we are adults, I'm 53 years old. My mom, I keep saying she's the best. She doesn't give me advice. When I tell her, okay, I'm going to do this, she's like, I know inside she's like, don't do that. But she just holds her space for me. And she does it with my two sisters, and the three of us are very different in many ways. And so it's so beautiful how you can just hope that you raise them well. And if they ask for your advice, give it to them in a very gentle and open way. Instead of saying, you have to do this, say, well, I remember one time you told me you wanted to do this. Maybe that it's the time to do it. I don't know. What do you think? Talking to them in an open way.
Yeah. Now, getting back to self-love.
But you will help. It all connects, because this way you can help your children with their self-love by not telling them what to do and trusting that they can do what they have to do.
Okay, so for you, what do you do for self-love for Sylvia Fernandez?
Yes, self-love has many, many things for me. For example, meditation. I believe that too many people these days are looking into social media for advice on this, on that, and then they're on a podcast, wearing the headphones or the earplugs all the time, all day long, listening to something instead of listening to themselves.
Right.
I think it would be nice if you were to listen to yourself, because when you listen to somebody else's advice all the time, it means you don't trust yourself to make the right decisions. So you're already putting yourself down by thinking somebody else knows better.
So how do you meditate?
It varies. Most of the mornings I listen to Abraham Hicks. I listen to a Rampage, and I repeat what she says, which is hard because she goes very fast. I repeat it so that it goes twice the fun. Sometimes I meditate in silence, 15 minutes. I listen to the noise. I sometimes sleep with AC, sometimes with the fan. So I listen to the fan, as she says, or the AC, sometimes with a candle, sometimes with yoga music. So it depends on if I feel like it's a quiet morning for me. I do it first thing in the morning. Like I wake up, I do some stretches in bed, which will help me feel better, which helps my body feels better. I do the stretches in bed, and then I do my meditation. And then I drink my warm water. So that is self-love already, because I'm taking care of me. What helps me feel good? And some people have some rituals, some people don't. It depends on if you like rituals or not. I'm not saying my rituals are the best. They work for me. And sometimes I wake up late and I'm like, oh, I can't do the meditation. So I don't do it, but I don't feel bad about it.
How do you not feel bad about something when a bad thing happens?
Okay, I try to think that bad things don't exist. Think about it. When you say something bad happened to me, it's only because it didn't work out how you thought it should or could or would, but not because it's bad. Unless it's a moral thing, of course, then it goes against my values, or I don't believe it's right. But something bad.
So let me give you an example.
Okay.
Okay. So 2 weeks ago, I was involved in a bad car accident. I was driving on the highway, and someone came and ran through a light and just bashed me in the side, totaled my car. So that to me was a bad thing that happened. How do I think about that? How would you recommend I process that?
Yes. To me, a bad thing would be that I wouldn't be speaking with you right now. Thank God you have the resources to get another car. I'm alive. That's the first and most important thing whenever you have a car accident to think about. It's not about how am I going to deal with a car accident? How am I going to get to the next meeting? You are alive to think that it was an accident. You are alive. So self-esteem, first of all, is I'm alive. Why am I alive, Robert? I aspire to inspire. So I'm here to help others enjoy life to the fullest. And the first thing that we need to know, I think, and appreciate is life. We forget to appreciate our eyes, our ears, the nose, the tongue, the heart, the lungs, the stomach, the liver, especially the liver with the drinking. We forget to take care of this amazing, lovely body that does it all. Why does it get sick? Because we don't care for it.
Mm-hmm.
The body is a miracle.
What else do you do for your body to take care of it? You meditate, you do some stretches, you have some warm water. What else do you do to take care of your body?
I do walking, or actually I just joined the gym because I hadn't been in a gym for like a year and a half. And I thought, okay, this body is not so good. I don't love my body anymore. I want to love it. I like it. I appreciate it, but I don't love it anymore. And I want to love it. And of course, changes are coming with time and with age, but there is much more that we can do rather than say, well, I'm this old and my body is supposed to change. No. I remember some doctors saying, well, your body's going to change with this age or with this medication. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to gain weight because you're putting this medication on me. I'm going to be able to fix it. I went to a naturopathy doctor and he also helped me. So finding ways to feel good. If I feel that my body's not feeling at its most, I will eat healthier. I will find ways to stretch in the internet or do some exercises to strengthen this part of the body and that part of the body. So I'm not into much lotion thing for the face, for example, but I do care about the body and I try to care for it. If I'm drinking alcohol, it's very little. I don't do any drugs. All of my life, I haven't done any drugs because I respect, love, and appreciate my body.
So, Dr. Soul, tell us a little bit about where that came from, the evolution of Dr. Soul.
So when I turned 40, I thought there has to be more to life than this. I had a boyfriend at the time. I had just quit my job at the university after 9 years. I had a convertible car. I had a beach house. I had an apartment. And this professor was like, in Puerto Rico, if you're a professor at a university, a graduate professor, it's like a prestigious position. And I was like, no, there has to be more. And this boyfriend is nice. He's great, but there has to be more. I said, you know what? I quit my job. I left my boyfriend. I broke up with him. I sold my car. And I thought, okay, I'm going to move to a place where I can be quieter, where I don't have all this input. Because I was living in the middle of Condado, which is like the busiest and the most touristic place in Puerto Rico. It's like the best place to be if you want to be there. Mm-hmm. So I moved to my other apartment, which was on the other side of the island, in front of the beach, really nice and quiet. But then I thought, no. So I changed jobs, and this other job was very stressful. It was with the federal government. It was helping people with disability, but very stressful. And then I said, okay, I'm going to quit this job. After 4 years, I quit that job. And I said, okay, I'm going to move to Bali. I'm going to go to Bali. I don't know why.
Okay.
I ended up going to a smaller island of Puerto Rico because my stepdad was not feeling so great. Mom's like, oh, please stay nearby. Well, in this before I went to this little island, I heard a friend saying about this spiritual guide lady. And she knew everything and she could help you when you're making big changes. And I thought, well, I haven't tried any of this woo-woo thing, so I'm going to try it. I'm going to go to this lady because I need some guidance. Mm-hmm. And I had been to a life coach, and I had been to some psychologists before, but I thought it's not going to help. So I'm going to go to this lady, see how it goes. And she, on her first meeting, I went to her maybe 4 times, 6 months apart. So 2 years. And the first meeting, she said, you should call yourself Dr. Soul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't think so. That's too pretentious. I don't like it, you know. And she's like, well, you know what? If you don't believe me and if you don't want to listen to me, it's okay. We'll give you your money back. and you can just leave. And I said, no, I want to stay because I liked it, of course, but I thought it's too much. So I did take this title. This was in 2014. No, 2015, she gave me this name. And I took it on in 2019 or 18. So 3 or 4 years after she told me, I thought, now I feel like I can accept the title or the name Dr. Soul because my intuition had developed to a degree that I didn't even understand.
So that's, you got the title, but now what did you do with it? How did it evolve to your soul alignment?
Yes. So the alignment part comes from Abraham Hicks. Okay. I learned from Abraham Hicks in 2017 when I was in Israel for 3 months there. In 2017, I traveled for 8 months. I went to India, Israel, Thailand, Greece. I had so many beautiful spiritual experiences during that year. Canada, New York, and that helped me to understand that I am here to help, but not in the traditional way as a psychologist, not in the traditional way as a coach, because I heard this man in Greece, he could help people just by touching them. And I was like, ooh, I want to be able to do that, you know? And I started asking, because as you know, with the law of attraction, if you say that you want something and you believe that you can become it, you can become it and you do become it. So little by little, I started believing that I had these special gifts that allow me to help people in a faster way. But it's not only that I help people faster, it's that the people that come to me are ready for the changes. They are ready to take responsibility for their lives. Many people that I used to see as a psychologist, they're like, oh, this is happening to me or that happened to me. You know, so it's more of a victim role. But the people I talk to now, these are entrepreneurs. These are people that are tired of living a life that they don't like, so they're ready to make the changes. These are people that are really want to reconnect with their partners, people that really want to lose the weight that they've gained because of unsatisfactory life experiences. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to know things. For example, I will give you the most blow my mind thing that happened, because when I give the soul alignment meeting, individual meeting, I know things about people that they didn't tell me. And this is one thing that's very interesting. And for me, it's normal because it just happens. But one time, I have apartments here in Puerto Rico that I rent. And this tenant of mine needed some keys, some extra set of keys. So I have to take it to her. And as I'm going to her, I go through this specialty shop and something in my mind tells me, get her ghee. You know what ghee is? It's a clarified butter. It's clarified butter. Yeah, many people don't know. And I learned about it in India in 2017. And I was like, what? This American lady, she probably doesn't even know what ghee is. You know, I'm not going to get her ghee. So I keep walking and then the voice comes again, get her ghee. So I go, whoa. So I went back, I got the ghee, I went to the apartment, gave her the keys, talked a little bit with her. And so the ghee was in a bag, right? And I put it on the table and she's like, hey, Sylvia, you're going to leave your bag. And I said, I didn't bring a bag. I was walking here. Yeah, this bag. And I was like, oh, no, that's the ghee. What do I tell her? So I said, well, this is going to sound weird, but something told me to bring you ghee. And I was like, waiting for her response. And she was like 60 something. She started jumping. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Sylvia, you're not going to believe this. I have a Chinese doctor in the States. And I was doing a Zoom call with him yesterday, and he said to get ghee.
Okay. So now here's my question, because I think that's really cool. I want to know, how can other people, normal people, do that, develop that intuition to know to go get ghee for a 67-year-old lady? I want to be able to do that. How do I do that?
You know how many people ask me that question? It's so interesting because entrepreneurs that want to start making money, they're like, well, you have to make a step-by-step and do something so that other people can do that too. And I said, I don't know how it happened. But I do know that I have this intrinsic love for people, Robert.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it. I love people.
Yeah.
I want everyone to be happy. And since I can't make them do what I want them to do, I just have this gift. And I feel so honored. But I asked for it. I asked, I want to be able to help people. And I didn't want to get frustrated because they didn't change in the first meeting, right? Because coaching takes maybe 6 months, sometimes a year. And I was getting frustrated. And I was like, I don't want to be frustrated. So then I thought, you know what? I'm going to start giving one meeting. That's it. So I started giving maybe 3 meetings at first. And then when I started calling myself Dr. Soul, I turned it into 1 meeting. And I said, when people come to me, they need to be ready to take charge of their lives. They need to be ready to stop giving excuses. They need to be ready to stop blaming their mother, stop blaming their partner, stop blaming their past, and start looking to the future and start looking to the present moment and what they're doing or not doing.
What is a soul meeting then? You got 1 meeting, a soul meeting. You gave me one of those. What is a soul meeting? Describe it for our audience here so they could understand what it is that you do.
A soul alignment is a 1-hour individual meeting that I give most preferably in person, but it can be over the phone or internet, whatever. And we talk about 7 areas of your life. These 7 areas I got from the coaching experience. I changed 2 or 3 of the names, but it's the 7 areas because I believe those 7 areas include or encompass our life. And some areas for some people need a little bit more attention. So they might want to meet 1 or 2 times, but at the most I meet 3 times per year with everybody. At the most 3 times. The soul alignment meeting and 2 more. That's it. And in this soul alignment, I receive an order of importance or order of priority for each person. It's always different. And we talk about those 7 areas and how I see it. It's interesting because one lady in Greece told me, it's like you see things like if you were seeing the perfect version of me. You know how in the Bible and Abraham, they always talk about seeing your best version. And many coaches talk about, let me help you get to your best version. But I'm not going to help you to get your best version. You have to do it yourself. I'm not going to do it for you. I can show you little things that you can do. For example, one time I met with this couple from the States and they were going to buy a property from me. And he said, well, give me one of those meetings of yours. And I was like, yeah, but your wife is here. It's individual. He's like, oh, I don't care. You know, she can be here. Okay. So I gave him the meeting. In the end, he said, yeah, but I want an assignment. I want something to do. And I didn't used to give any assignments, but I thought people want something to do. So sometimes I do give assignments. And I said to him, well, if you, when you ask me to do something, I would recommend that you sit down every day and have dinner with your family. The wife almost flipped. She's like, he's never going to do that. And I said, well, you know what? Financial, family, and couple situations will get better when you sit down. And I don't recommend this to everybody, but this is what came for him, specifically for him. I don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know why. But it was right on the dot. I don't know that he started doing it, and I don't think he ever did it. But it's a simple thing, Robert. If you think about it, it's 1 hour. This is your family. This is your work. I told him this is going to help you with everything, with the 7 areas. It's one thing, 1 hour you need to do every day. That's it. If I tell you...
What are the 7 areas?
Yeah.
What are the 7 areas?
Is partner, financial, family, time off, spirituality, expansion, and work, but I call it passion.
Passion. Okay.
I'm having a little bit of a situation these days with the word passion because somebody in Spain, I came from Portugal, And somebody from Spain that I met in Portugal, he said, well, but passion comes from the passion of God and it's suffering. And I'm like, oh no, you just ruined this for me now. I'm trying to think of a different word for that. We can talk about it another time. But
I like the word passion.
I like it too. I like it too.
Yeah. So,
so those are the 7 areas.
How does this work? If someone says, okay, I'm going to go to Puerto Rico and meet with Sylvia, or I know that she travels a lot, I'm going to run into her along the way because I just believe I will. And I'm going to have a soul alignment. What do you do with that person? What happens in that meeting?
In that meeting, I am the one mostly doing the talking. which was against me in psychotherapy because you had to let the other talk and I was always talking. But in this meeting, I tell the person how I see their life in each one of the areas and what I suggest, how I suggest them to move forward. I believe we're all meant to have easy and fun lives. And so I give them advice, if you might, or recommendations, or a path that they could take. Sometimes it's as superficial as a haircut.
So
I don't know why.
This comes from your intuition or channeled or yes. Someplace. It just comes to you.
Yes. Yes. And you just go on my website, planforamiracle.com, because I said people love planning, right? Because they think they have control over their lives. And we do have some control, but there are some things we have no control over. But there are some things that we do. So Plan for a Miracle, it didn't make any sense in a way, but for me, it makes perfect sense. And so you go on the website, and at the end of the website, there is an Airbnb link because it's an Airbnb experience. I call it transformation while on vacation.
Okay.
So you go in there and you choose a time frame, or you ask for a time frame depending on where you're at. And I can give it over the internet, over the phone, or if you come to Puerto Rico, even better.
So Airbnb experience, it's not an Airbnb. You're not coming and staying in your Airbnb and then you show up and go,
no, you don't stay at my place. It used to be like that. It used to be that people stayed at my place. I lived in the smaller island of Puerto Rico, Vieques. I lived there for 5 years, and I had a room for people to stay with me at my house.
Okay.
But now people
where are you at now? Where are you now?
In San Juan. In San Juan.
How long are you going to be there? Like, what's happening next? Where are your travels taking you?
Yeah, that's really funny because in 2017, I didn't plan a way back. I just had tickets for Germany, India, and Israel, those 3 places. And it was going to take maybe 2.5 months. And I stayed for 7 or 8 months. 8 months. So since then, people are asking me, so where are you going? Where are you going? What's your next trip? And I say, allow the plan to evolve to its best version. Don't try to push it. So right now, I don't have any plans. With your trip to Greece, your boat, I have your books. I worked with them. I loved learning Joe Dispenza from you. Thank you very much. Not only was it fun learning, but it was really special getting to know you better and meeting all your friends, old and new, at the boat. So it was a really good experience. You should go with Robert and learn from him. You're a really good. I am very easily bored, and you kept my attention the whole time. So for me, I need someone really good to be able to pay attention. The trip, I was only going to Abraham Hicks and then going to Europe for Portugal. And you said, hey, I have this trip and we could work it out so I could be the photographer. And that worked out for me. And then I went to Cappadocia, which I wasn't planning on going. And so things evolve in my life. I usually do not plan where I'm going to go. I just allow the plan to evolve to its best version. When I went to London this year, I was going to stay there for a week. I ended up staying 2.5 weeks. In Portugal, I ended up staying a month.
What are you doing there then in Puerto Rico? Are you just doing solo alignment meetings? Or are you just laying on the beach being happy, or writing another book, or just meditating all day?
Well, that's a good question. Last year, because I retired when I went to Vieques to live. I figured I didn't have to work. This was when I was 45. So I retired since I was 45, and I did some little things here and there, but not really. But then this year, the end of last year, I took a 2.5 month travel time. And when I got back here, I was so bored, Robert. I was like, I'm 52 at that time. I'm 52. I need to do something with my life because this is boring when I'm in Puerto Rico. I mean, of course, it's fun to do whatever you want, but I'm 53. I shouldn't be retired already. And I tried having a regular job. I didn't like it. I was like, no, it's not for me. I don't want to go back to an office. So I do give the soul alignments. Those are like 30 per month, more or less, 20 or 30.
Oh, you do that many?
Yeah. It started with two or three, and then now it's building up. It's building up. Okay. Sometimes 15 to 30. New people, a lot of people on vacation, a lot of new people in Puerto Rico also that go to Airbnb to learn about Puerto Rico, and they find my experience. So yeah, I'm doing that a lot. But last year I thought I want to do something else, not only this. And so I started with real estate. And people are,
you a realtor?
Well, in Puerto Rico, there's two positions, a broker and a salesperson. The broker does everything by themselves, and they can sell and buy and work by themselves. And the salesperson has to work with a broker they call it a realtor, but realtor in Puerto Rico is it's a brand like Kleenex for tissue paper. So I'm a salesperson.
Oh,
I don't want to work by myself. This is too boring. I want to work with someone, for someone. I want to learn, and I didn't want to be in charge. Many people want to be in charge. I don't want to be in charge. I want to be on the side, taking it slow, going my pace. In Puerto Rico, the word for broker is a runner. So I'm like, I don't want to be a runner. I want to take my pace. I want to take my time, enjoy life, keep enjoying life while helping others find a house or sell their house or apartment or rent it.
Okay. Along the way, you said something that new people to Puerto Rico, maybe they're going to Airbnb to find a place to live, but then you have your Airbnb experience on it, which isn't Airbnb. It's your soul alignment. That's your marketing?
I never think myself of a marketing expert.
Okay, you're a salesperson.
I am a loving person that wants to share my gift. And Airbnb has given me the platform to offer this meeting to people from around the world that are not even here.
But you're not given an Airbnb. You're given a soul alignment. It has nothing to do with Airbnb.
Yes, it has to do. Airbnb has two, maybe you don't know this. Airbnb has two options, hosting and experiences. So Airbnb has experiences, and soul alignment is one of the experiences in Airbnb. Airbnb has two.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. When I was in 2017, we didn't have it in Puerto Rico yet. But in New York, I took like a tie-dye class. It's the Japanese original version. I took it there. And I've taken music lessons, dance lessons when I travel. So whenever you travel, you can go on Airbnb experiences and find, now it's kind of too general, like there's everything in there, but it used to be that it was only typical things from that place that you could get, so that you would learn about that culture. Now it's a little bit, like Airbnb has changed a lot since it started. Now it's more commercial.
I had no idea. I'm going to put the Radnoti hypnosis on Airbnb experiences and see what happens.
Well, I think you have to find a way to make it culturally appealing so that Airbnb accepts it. They have their own. Yeah, but many people that are starting, photographers are adding up in there. If you know how to cook something that's typical to your area. One time I met an American guy in Puerto Rico teaching people how to make mojitos, which are not even from Puerto Rico. I was like, what? Yes, and he was charging like $20 per person to teach them how to make a mojito. I was like, oh my God. So Airbnb has expanded that way. And for me, it's because for the taxes, because it's something that I do on my own for the taxes, also for the reviews. When you go on my Airbnb experience, you will see some of the reviews because, as you know, you don't have to write reviews. And some people, it's too personal. And many psychologists have come to me for the soul alignment because I was a university professor for 9 years. So when they see on my social media, oh, she's giving this meeting, I want to take it. And they take it, they don't give me a review because they're psychologists, renowned psychologists in Puerto Rico.
Okay. All right. So we're coming to the end of our time here. What other messages might you want to kind of close with, and or how do people get a hold of you?
Well, you can go to my website, planforamiracle.com. I have all my social media in there. I'm giving Instagram a break these days. I'm using only Facebook, but it's all in there. Sylvia Dr. Soul Fernandez, as my name says down here, without the quotes. Sylvia Dr. Soul Fernandez. You can find me. On YouTube, I'm very active on YouTube these days also.
Okay, good. Well, it has been a pleasure, Dr. Soul, Sylvia, my friend, to be here on our Gratitude podcast. And she doesn't have any plan for the future except that she expects a miracle to happen. And I know that it will. Thank you for being here.
Every day, all day. Thank you, Robert, for having me.